BJ from Game Gumbo. I've got my guest here, Chris Wray from the Opinionated Gamers, and he's bringing the opinions tonight. Let's see what he says about a game that I like the original, but I'm not so sure. Do I need Medici, the dice game, in my life? Tell me about that.
Oh, it's so cool. I love it so much. I've played this game probably like 10 times, and I keep trying to break it, actually. And I have not succeeded, which I think bodes well for it. So it's kind of amazing that you got the score sheet up there. It's extremely simple. You roll dice. It's an amazing
show, man. Come on.
Yeah, it's you roll dice, and then you mark the value that you get in those top columns of each row. And then you also track the colors of the dice that you're taking. And so you're allowed to take up to 3 dice if you're the main player, and then the remaining players get one of the leftover dice. And so you're trying to have the highest value ship, so you want high numbers, but you also want to get really low on those color tracks. And so it's this classic Renier Knizia split between, do I take this now or do I take this now? It's because the person who has the best ship, they can get up to 30 points. It does depend on player count. And then the further you get down on those color tracks, each color track has a 10 or a 5-point bonus each round, but then you can also earn a 10 or 20-point bonus. And so it's just a simple little roll and write. It does feel like Medici. I don't think I like it as well as Medici because I absolutely love auction games. It's like there's something about the auction mechanic that has always fascinated me. But it doesn't have the auctions. It is a 10-minute game, though, and it comes with a huge stack of sheets. So you get a lot of value in the box. So Grail Games, I think that's who did this. Grail Games, they really hit this one out of the park. It feels like a Knizia dice game.
Yeah, I like what Grail Games is doing, especially with these Knizia games. They have this game, Whale Riders, that was out on Kickstarter from Knizia. And I actually backed it because it looks really good. Hey, Steve, are you hearing feedback from Chris's mic? No? Is it only me? Okay. For some reason, I'm getting some feedback from your mic, Chris, but if you're not hearing it, it must be mine.
Yeah, I don't hear it.
Strange. Yeah, so we're looking at the score sheet now for Medici, the dice game, right?
Yeah.
So roll and write. I'm trying to think, is this Renier Knizia's first roll and write?
He did, I think it was called Crisscross.
I didn't play that one. Yeah.
This was just a couple years ago. And so I don't think so. I mean, the guy has 700 games, so I think he's done a little bit of everything before. And there's a Medici card game too. And I didn't like it as well as Medici. I like this better than the card game. But this one was like, this is probably my family's favorite of the Essen games.
Well, Beth Sobel says she loves Medici, the card game. Absolutely perfect con game. Little bataille here, Steve. We got Chris and Beth.
I would not argue with Beth Sobel. I mean, she's a legend. So,
come on, the Opinionated Gamers. That's what you do. Throw out that opinion.
Her artwork makes all games better.
All right. So right. No, that's a good point. So give us the choices. You've got 3 games: Medici the dice game, Medici the card game. How are you going to rate them? How are you going to rank them?
Medici still. I really love the auction. Medici the dice game is probably number 2 for me, and Medici the card game. But I've owned all 3, and I think all 3 are different enough that you could justify owning all 3. And they're all 3 fantastic. I mean, Knizia is kind of a hit or miss, right? He's got 700 games. 100 or 200 of those are pretty good. Some of them aren't so great. But I think this is one of the really good ones.
I just didn't quite pick it up from your description. Medici is all about, I mean, let's face it, it's all about having the money and what's that?
It's pressure luck.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the auction. It's the pure auction, right?
Yeah, because you're auctioning with victory points, which is, I mean, it hasn't really been done a lot. And so
how does that translate to the roll and write though?
So here, there's no auction whatsoever. All you're doing is the dice. You pick which dice you get and which dice that are left over, or what everybody else gets. And so what you're really doing is you're saying, do I want to risk it and just take this? The dice range from 0 to 5. Do I want to take this 4 now, or do I want to wait for a 5 later? But the real tension here is, do you want to take dice worth the points to try to get the majority on the ship, or do you want to take the color of the dice Because if you take a 0, for instance, that adds nothing to your ship value, but you get 2 marks on the color tracks. And so that's the tension in the game is, how it's not only which dice are you going to get, which dice are your opponent's going to get, how are you going to use them too? I mean, you mark them both ways, but
I'm intrigued. I'm interested. I'm curious how they could pull that off in a roll and write. But I'll tell you, you've so many. Especially, I like the fact that it only takes 10 or 15 minutes to play.
It's fast, and it's also like I think we as like game reviewers don't talk enough about like value. I think there's a lot of value in that box. I mean, it's a fairly inexpensive game, probably $20. You could probably get it cheaper. And so, I mean, for a thick pad of sheets, it's not a bad result.
Anytime I can find one of those $15, $20 games, and you pay $15 for a game or $20 for a game, and you can play it 20 times. That's a lot of value.